Big fight coming up this weekend. We have Syndicate MMA's own Joanne Wood taking on Taila Santos. There might be a head scratch. There might be some confusion. She got married to John Wood recently. Dropped the Calder. There's the story.
Congrats.
She's got a fight coming up this weekend. And listen, I'll let the cat out of the bag right now. She's a giant underdog in this fight. And Matt, my question is, because I think it's halfway silly, Taila Santos starts off her UFC career and she loses a fight against somebody who's no longer in the UFC anymore by split decision, that being Italy's own Mara Romero Barella. She goes on to beat Molly McCann in what made us look like the biggest dum-dums in the entire world. She beats Jillian Robertson. She beats Roxanne Modafferi. Those wins, decision. For Taila Santos to be favored this heavily in a perennial contender, be it at 115 or 125, what has Taila Santos changed since that fight against Mara Romero Barella? Or could you just chalk it up to maybe even jitters?
Because the players want to play. And the haters going to hate.
Does she own that again?
Taila Santos is going to shake. Shake it off. She's one of those fighters who had a very, very poor performance in her UFC debut. And hey, I may have even had a market correction, if you will, and thought, hey, she's just not the fighter I thought she was. Bit of a patent record coming into the UFC. Maybe I was sold a false bill of goods. Not the case whatsoever for Santos. And I guess my way to answer your question is, I think it was octagon jitters in her UFC debut. It was sort of an uncharacteristic lack of output, which really lost her that fight against Barella. Now, that hasn't been the case whatsoever ever since then. And the great thing that I have to say about Taila Santos is, we always make the jokes about, JSP, about, oh, he lost to Joe Lozon, I held that against him, but I moved past it now. There's some fighters who, hey, those losses still stay in the back of my mind, no matter how much I say, oh, I moved past it. Taila has done everything humanly possible to get that debut out of my mind, because she's really shown that she is more than just one of those kind of hesitant strikers, if you want to call her, because that's sort of what she was in her debut. And now she's the one marching down her opposition, and it's really, really refreshing to see, especially in her last fight against Roxanne, because hey, I know Modafferi, she's near the end of her career, she's been around forever, she's fought everybody on the world.
Going for her 50th fight and then riding off into the sunset. Happy trails.
But Roxanne has as much experience as any other MMA fighter really does in the world. And if you have a hole in your game, she is going to expose it. And I thought, hey, if Santos is going to lose one of those, kind of like what we mentioned earlier, one of those Sabina Mazow, Alexis Davis matchups, that could be Taila Santos. What she did to Roxanne Modafferi was awful. It shouldn't be allowed in the cage. She proved that, hey, Roxanne kind of is near the end of her career and Santos is the future, because not only did she have success on the feet like we knew she was going to be able to, she was getting takedowns, she was passing the guard. It was one of those flawless performances that we were just kind of waiting to see out of Taila Santos.
Career-wise, Roxanne Modafferi, 25% takedown defense. Not great, but Santos went 5 of 5 for takedowns. She had a knockdown in that fight, in her fight against Molly McCann. What does Meatball do well? She can box, but she can wrestle a little bit, or she does. She just offensively wrestles. In that fight, 5 of 7 for her takedown attempts, 7 minutes, 53 seconds of control time. She outstrikes her. And then in her fight against Jillian Robertson, well, that one wasn't really close. And what did Taila do? She just grappled the whole time and held Jillian Robertson down and pretty much demoralized her in that fight. So when you look at this matchup against Joanne, the artist formerly known as Calderwood, I look at this, 63% takedown defense for Wood. Let's focus on some fights where she got taken down. Well, Lauren Murphy took her down. Jessica I took her down. Those are recent ones.
She gets held down, though, is my big issue with Wood.
Which is true, and the one spot where she's really, really good at, and this is what I'm eager to see, I mean, what is it Dr. Knievel? Are we still going with that one?
I think so.
Is that still a thing? I know JoJo's out there. But the thing about her is her best position when we're in clinch. The elbows, the knees, everything that she can throw with vicious intent. There's so many great things to like out of Joanne Calderwood. That's what makes this matchup so much fun. Because for Santos, she's been winning overwhelmingly in her last 3 fights. 100%. She's looked great. Hasn't finished anybody, but that's a tall task against those 3 opponents. You look at it for Joanne Wood, good competition, the best competition. You lose some by split decision. Like, one judge had her beating Lauren Murphy, which would have had her fight Valentina Shevchenko. Like, that's how close these fights are. So, I have a tough time with this one going, okay, I have this prospect that I wasn't sold on before, but she's looked amazing in her last 3 fights against decent competition. A great gatekeeper who's near the end of her career, a decent prospect that's been around, I guess a decent fighter that's been around, Molly McCann, And it's a weird bucket of muscles, if you will. I just have a hard time. I got to be honest.
I definitely think Joanne Wood is like 20% better than the public's opinion of her. And this is what I'll even have to say about her. A perfect Joanne Wood fight still probably results in her winning by a split decision. You know what I mean? Like, if Joanne Wood has everything going right in her fights. I was listening to a podcast. It's the Low Post podcast by Zach Lowe. It's on ESPN. It's about basketball. And he was really high on Scotty Barnes for the Raptors because what he said was they were developing him. They were doing a workout. And this psychologist did a workout. And they said, okay, I want you to imagine you scoring 25 points. Just like, think about how you would do that in a game setting. For Joanne Wood, for her thinking about, okay, like, what would be my perfect fight? I still see a lot of 50-50 exchanges where it's not really like she's pulling all that far ahead from her opponent. And that's my big issue with this fight. If Joanne Wood has everything going her way, it's still going to be a lot of 50-50 positions where she might land an elbow, but Santos might land 2 rabbit punches on the inside, which is going to be somewhat equal in the judge's mind. If Wood starts throwing a lot of knees at the middle, if she does get that clinch position, I think she's going to get taken down, rinse and repeat over and over based off of them. And my big problem with Wood is, you brought up the numbers. She does have pretty good takedown defense, but she's one of these fighters who, she's got a good initial move. She has a good initial move off of her back, but she's shown a lack of grappling IQ on the mat in the past, and I think that's going to get her caught against someone like Santos.
The thing that scares me away from this one, and if anybody tells you that these odds are great, they're not. They're baked. Taila Santos open minus 180 favorite, which to me is respectable, and I would have assumed it would have stayed there. Minus 318 favorite on best fight odds today, Monday. If you look at it for Wood, open plus 155. She's plus 248. Topology votes, surprise to us, they are to you. Let's have a look at them. 822 total votes, 75% Santos, 81% by decision. For the 25% that have Wood, 85% by decision. I definitely like that one more, but I'm sure those odds are baked too. You know what? We're doing a show, Matt. Let's have a little bit of fun. I'll find those odds for us, but for me, again, over-under at 2.5 rounds. The over is minus 325. So this is just to sit back, watch it, and if Santos wins, you give her Jennifer Maia. If Joanne Wood wins, you give her Jennifer Maia again? Like, that's the thing. I don't know who you really match her up with, even if she beats Santos. It's a lot easier to matchmake for the prospect than it is for the established veteran in this case, in an oddly dynamic division that's not up at the top. Maybe you book her with Jessica Andrade?
No!
Again. But you have to.
I know, you're right. This is the problem with both of the... I won't say, okay, women's strawweight is as good as any division in the UFC. It really is top to bottom. There's a lot of depth. Bantamweight and flyweight are both in these awful positions where they have a number one contender who's head and shoulders above everybody else in the division in Jessica Andrade and Germaine Durden. And then the champion just so happens to be like a historically great all-time Mount Rushmore type of a talent. So that's why it is so hard matchmaking both these ladies moving forward, because Santos probably is deserving of a title shot at some point. It's just really hard to sort of figure out what her path in that direction is.
All right, Matt. So both of us in this fight going with Taila Santos, but not at minus 300 confidence.
No.
So just sit back, watch this fight, enjoy it. If you do watch it, it should be pretty good. I'm looking forward to it, and the rest of this main card that you're not going to want to miss. So keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, as we always say.
Let's get into it.